You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Arvind Kejriwal is at war again. And again, it is the Prime Minister who is his target. This time over a bill that was rejected by the President yesterday, which would have allowed 21 of his MLAs to continue to hold posts that they're not allowed to. 21 AAP MLAs were appointed by Arvind Kejriwal as parliamentary secretaries last year, a post that normally has a good salary and many perks. But it was not allowed in Delhi because it falls under the Office of Profit rules. That means that an MLA cannot hold a post from where he or she draws another salary, unless it is exempt by law. That's what Kejriwal wanted to do, but that's what the President has rejected. Now the Delhi Chief Minister is blaming the Modi government for this, citing other states who do the same. But is this cry of conspiracy justified?
This is my Office of Profit, these are my perks, says one of the 21 parliamentary secretaries appointed by the Aam Aadmi Party. The Jangpura MLA claims he sleeps on the floor of this room and uses the other for work.
2 कमरे का मकान है और पिछले 3 साल से मैं इसी 2 कमरे के मकान में रहता आ रहा हूँ। बीजेपी बार-बार प्रोपेगेंडा बना रही कि उन्हें बंगला मिल गया, तो यही मेरा छोटा सा 2 कमरे का बंगला है।
But the opposition isn't buying it.
It doesn't matter whether these people are drawing any emoluments or not. In 2006, the same thing happened when Jaya Bachchan was given a notice by the Election Commission, and then the Election Commission decided that she is to be disqualified.
An angry Arvind Kejriwal blamed the Prime Minister for the President's rejection of the bill. That would have allowed 21 of his MLAs to continue to hold the post of parliamentary secretaries, which till now hasn't been allowed under the Delhi law. That's because under the Office of Profit rules, MLAs can't get a salary from elsewhere.
उन MLAs को हम एक पैसा ढीला नहीं दे रहे, फ्री में काम करा रहे हैं। आप दिल्ली सरकार को काम नहीं करने दे रहे, आपको दिल्ली की हार नहीं पच रही है।
Aam Aadmi Party is in denial mode, but what they have not been able to answer is why did the notification come out in March and a special bill passed in a special session in June only after the fear of disqualification of these 21 MLAs loomed over them. It's now up to the Election Commission to decide if Delhi will have by-polls for 21 seats. In New Delhi, Sonal Mehrotra, NDTV.
Well, joining us on the program tonight from the Aam Aadmi Party is senior spokesperson Ashutosh. Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh, the spokesperson of the BJP, joins us this evening. We have Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner, joining us this evening, and Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist and analyst here in the studio with us. Before I take this to the politicians, Dr. Qureshi, let me ask you, sir, what is your opinion on this issue? Do you believe that these MLAs do face the very real prospect of being disqualified by the Election Commission, which is now, looking at this matter?
The fact that the Election Commissioner is hearing a petition and the fact that the Aam Aadmi Party moved the government and the President for amendment of the Act shows that there is a case, and this is before the Election Commission. And the Election Commission will soon give the hearing in his court, in his quasi-judicial capacity, and the issues will be decided.
In your opinion, sir, though, do you believe that prima facie there is a case for disqualification in your personal opinion?
Well, I would not like to comment because it's not a very simple yes or no kind of answer. To my mind, the question is whether the accommodation or the place of work which is given also constitutes profit. So that probably will be one issue which will be discussed, because salary and allowances are certainly not allowed. Compensatory allowance like a TADA is allowed because by various court judgments, including the Supreme Court. But what exactly will be the status of the accommodation which they are given, to my mind, but I don't know great detail. To me, that seems to be the question which will be before the Commission.
Well, Ashutosh, let me ask you then about the biggest criticism that your party is facing today. The biggest criticism is that you first appointed the MLAs to these positions and later a law was brought in to exempt them from the Office of Profit clause, which was then to apply retrospectively. It should have been the other way around. How does the AAP respond to that particular criticism first?
See, Nidhi, there are the two issues in this, and since you asked about the retrospective thing, let me just tell you that there is a very well established legislative procedure in the practice. What is the practice? I'll just explain that in 2006 there were the cases of the 40 member of parliaments, including the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, Finance Minister Chidambaram, Somnath Chatterjee as a speaker, Amar Singh and several others, including the deputy leader of V.K. Malhotra from the BJP. And then it was when the question arose, then what happened? The parliament passed a law amendment, Parliament Prevention Disqualification Amendment Bill 2006, and retrospectively the 46 posts were exempted from the office of the prophet. This is one legislative practice pursued by the central government. Now I'll cite another example in the same year 2006.
That
in
was
the
done
month
by
of
the Congress.
September 19, the 18 MLAs, yeah, that is set by the Congress, but benefited, the BJP was also benefited by that. Then 18 MLAs of the Congress Delhi government, they were appointed on the office of prophet, and all these MLAs were availing salaries and all kinds of other emoluments like Trans Yamuna Area Development Board, Rural Development Board, Parliamentary Secretary to the Chief Minister, Chairman of the 9 District Development Committees and Chairperson of the SC/ST Welfare Board. When the Vijay Jolly had gone to the Election Commission, then what the Sheila Dikshit did, Sheila Dikshit had again retrospectively passed a bill from the Delhi Assembly, and it was approved by the President, and it
So you're saying there's a precedence for this both in Parliament and in the Delhi Assembly?
Let me complete. Let me complete. In Chhattisgarh, when Ajit Jogi was the Chief Minister, even then, the similar thing has happened. Again, the BJP had gone to the Election Commission. Election Commission said if Mr. Jogi has done it retrospectively, he said it's okay, we have no issues with that. So when other political parties pursuing a well-established legislative practice, then it's okay. If Aam Aadmi Party is pursuing, it is a crime from which the parliament works not only according to the constitution, but also works according to the conventions, according to the parliamentary practices and parliamentary procedures.
Ashutosh, let me take what you said to the BJP.
What's wrong in that?
Okay,
Secondly,
okay. No, but before you come to your second point, because I want to go, into this point by point, there are various aspects to this. Siddharth Nath Singh, Ashutosh makes an important point. There is a precedence to this. It has been done by Parliament, it's done by other assemblies, it's been certainly done by the Delhi Assembly before as well. And therefore, as he says, if it's a well-established legislative practice, why is the Aam Aadmi Party being singled out for criticism?
Well, interpretation of the constitution by cherry picking will not serve the purpose. Now, since Mr. Ashutosh very conveniently brought about issues which relates to Parliament and all, let me now just remind him and correct him. Not retrospectively, the West Bengal government in 2012 had brought for their 24 MLAs to be given a parliamentary secretary post in 2012, but the High Court, the Calcutta High Court, way back in 2015, struck it down and said, yes, you did bring a law, but what you have done is you have tried to subvert the constitution and by challenging the Article 164(1)(a), because as per that article, there is a ceiling cap of 10 to 15%, and you cannot have more than that. So you conveniently tried to subvert it, and the High Court struck it down. And there are many precedences. Since morning they have been speaking utter lies, utter lies. Let me now come on the Himachal Pradesh. In 2006, the Himachal Pradesh came up in the Himachal Pradesh Court, High Court. There again they were struck down. So there are number of incidents which they have been saying to justify what wrong they have done, and rather than admitting and asking their MLAs to resign, they are making a case out of it which won't hold water, and at the same time they're turning out on the cheap politics of attacking the Prime Minister, where the Prime Minister has nothing to do.
I'm coming to the attack on the PM.
Under Article 192,
no, I'm coming to the attack on the PM.
Disqualification lies with the President or the Election
Isn't
Commission.
it true also that it could be Siddharth Nath Singh, both cases? You see, the examples that Ashutosh has cited are also valid examples. For instance, the law that Parliament passed exempting 46 posts was retrospective. What you have cited about West Bengal is also correct. Therefore, that means that there is a lot of subjectivity, it seems, on the issue of office of prophet. It's not black and white.
Hear me out. Hear me out. What the difference is, I'll tell you. Allow me. I'll clarify that. The difference is that somebody, when it was passed in the parliament unanimously, nobody challenged it and went to the court. Now finally the court has given in 2015, which is just before they decided to move the a notification without going through the proper channel. The Calcutta High Court came up with their observations and judgment of setting it aside. So there is a court judgment.
Before I get
then they go ahead and do the something which is wrong.
In that case, was the attack on the Prime Minister justified?
Note of it
Was the political attack on the PM justified? I ask you this, why? Because there is a constitution. Yeah. What is the constitution? There is a constitutional process here, Ashutosh.
This is the cheap politics.
Okay. You've heard the BJP's accusation. After all, it is the president who has rejected the bill.
I did not. Let me say. I think I owe Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh to indulge into some kind of civility. I did not use the lies and other kinds of words. I don't want to use. I can use it. He talked about the Calcutta case, and let me also explain. This is half truth, which he has given a beautiful turn. In the Calcutta High Court case, it was not a case of it was a different. There was a different case altogether. According to the Constitution, in West Bengal, only 44 ministers could be appointed. As per the law. But what the Mamata Banerjee has done, he has appointed 24. Let me 24. I am telling you, please hear me out. What was the case? The case in Delhi case and the West Bengal case is entirely different. According to the Constitution, Mamata Banerjee could have appointed only 44 ministers. But in addition to that, she has appointed 24 parliamentary secretaries, giving them the status of Minister of State and Deputy Minister. So what the Calcutta High Court has said, that this means 44 plus 24. That means 68 ministers are there. This is against law. This is against Constitution. So Siddharth Nath Singh was trying to beautifully give a different turn to altogether. Delhi case and that case is entirely different. Now let me tell you one thing very frankly. In 2006, the Parliament passed the law. The Parliament passed the law, so 46 exemptions were given. Let me complete, Siddharth. Siddharth, let me complete. Here what has happened, for a good 1 year, this bill was passed by the Assembly, was lying with the LG and with the Home Minister. For good 1 year, they did not respond, they did not react on that. But when they realized that Aam Aadmi Party is gaining ground in Punjab, in Goa, in Uttarakhand, other places, suddenly they got panicked. So Mr. Modi, what he did? Mr. Modi got this annulled, got this rejected. Do you think it is the president? According to the Constitution, president is only there. He works on the aid and advice of the Prime Minister. Everybody knows that. Do you mean to say that the emergency was imposed not by the Mrs. Gandhi, but by the Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, then the President of India? So BJP is trying to just skirt the issue. The fact is that today there are 15 parliamentary secretaries in Arunachal Pradesh, Punjab there are 19, Gujarat there are 5, Telangana 6, Nagaland 24, Karnataka 10, Meghalaya 18, Rajasthan 5, Chhattisgarh 8.
Siddharth, I'll give you a chance to respond to that.
In Punjab, the parliamentary secretaries are. Let me.
Ashutosh, you made your point. You made your point. Siddharth, political attack is on the Prime Minister. No, I have 10 seconds.
30 seconds.
No.
Siddharth, let me complete. In Punjab, the parliamentary secretaries are getting what? 20,000 per month. 5,000 compensatory allowances, 40,000
I'm coming to that as well. I just want Siddharth to respond to this point on the Prime Minister.
Because your baseless charges won't hold water, so to allow others to reply to you.
Siddharth, should the LG and the Home Minister,
their stunt and their cheap politics doesn't merit to reply when they attack Prime
Minister. Don't use such words. It doesn't look nice from your mouth.
They get the TRP, that's all they want. But coming on the matter of fact, the Calcutta High Court, let me read it out.
And I'll read it out very
what the Chief Justice had said. The enactment of West Bengal Parliamentary Secretaries, and I'm reading out Ashutosh. The enactment of West Bengal Parliamentary Secretaries Act of 2012 is struck down, and the reason it is struck down is it is repugnant to the Constitution and deserves to be struck down. Accordingly, the writ petitions are not allowed. And further they say the statute in question is nothing but an enactment to overcome the limitation or restriction imposed under Article 164 4(1)(a) of the Constitution of India. So where you are coming around, Mr. Ashutosh, it doesn't hold water.
Siddharth, I have
what
a question for you. Ashutosh, give me a
the
second.
Calcutta High Court has
exactly
said.
what I'm saying.
Siddharth, I have a
Therefore,
question. I have a-
please
Ashutosh,
accept
one second,
that
1 second.
retrospectively you realize you have done a mistake and you went to the assembly and without even taking the LG's approval, you brought that notification
Siddharth,
and did
may I
something
ask
which is
you,
unconstitutional.
do
you're
you
a appointee,
believe,
don't
do
worry.
you believe that the
LG is your
LG,
appointee.
Ashutosh, give me a second, do you believe, Siddharth, that the LG and the Home Ministry should have sat on this for a year? That's the question. Should this not have been dealt with right away rather than a year later?
Why should they? It takes. There's a procedure. It doesn't mean that the High Court of Calcutta, since we are talking,
Nidhi,
it happened in
again,
2012. They came up
Ashutosh,
with the
one second,
judgment
let
in
him finish.
2015, just before the elections were coming in the West Bengal. So one has to say the High Court was manipulated, and it happened just before the elections were coming in West Bengal. That's a ridiculous kind
Okay,
of
let me
argument
bring
that
Neer
Aam
Jain.
Aadmi
Give me a
Party is
second,
throwing,
gentlemen.
and I
Let
don't
me
think
bring
we are
Neer
here
Jain,
to buy
Dr.
these
Qureshi,
arguments
and they're
from them.
very patiently listening. Neerja, the point is, what is the political ramification of this? Do you believe that by sort of upping the ante on the Prime Minister, that this could work for AAP or backfire for them because it involves the President? Or do they have a political argument here vis-a-vis the LG, the Home Ministry, and therefore the President?
I think, you know, Mr. Kejriwal is a perennial warrior, as we've seen. And as far as what Ashutosh has said, he's got his arguments all impeccably there and his facts. There have been precedents. Of course, I must point out that Sonia Gandhi, despite that office of profit controversy, had resigned and recontested her election.
That's right.
But that apart, there have been precedents to this, and yet the President has rejected the bill. What are the political ramifications? It will go to the Election Commission. Election Commission will follow the procedure. There will be hearings, and as all legal experts are pointing, in all probability, as things stand today, they'll probably be disqualified.
Which means by-elections.
Which means by-elections to 21 assembly constituencies. This doesn't mean that the AAP loses its majority in Delhi Assembly. They will still have 46 comfortably placed, but that is not the point. The political point is you may have elections just before the Punjab elections, which are very critical for AAP, and from all accounts AAP is doing very well in Punjab. Now, if Mr. Kejriwal and his team are tied down in Delhi for these elections, if for instance, you know, after 2 years they lose 10 out of 21 or 5 or 6 out of 21, they are not likely to win all 21. Does it take away from the momentum they are trying to build in Punjab? Punjab is also critical for the elections that will follow, which is Goa, Uttarakhand.
Does it? No, but however, does that mean the AAP handled this the right way, in your opinion? As far as this entire office of profit issue is concerned?
More probably
or did they follow, you think, precedents?
Well, I don't know how much of thinking went into it in the appointment of the parliamentary secretaries. Once they had done it, and this was pointed out to them, they sought to bring in another bill. And as has been pointed out, certainly the LG sat on it for a year. To take on the Prime Minister on this is, I think, uncalled for. But certainly politics is at the heart of it all. The genesis of it goes back to the battle between the LG and the central government on the one side.
But you do think it's taking it too far to
bring in the Prime Minister on everything, I think is needless.
You know, what is also important, before I take it back to Ashutosh and to Siddharth Nath Singh, Dr. Qureshi, is that when Jaya Bachchan also was involved in this entire office of profit row in her time, that time the Supreme Court actually said it doesn't matter whether the person has actually made any financial gains, is getting a salary, but whether or not they've got any kind of whether the office he or she holds is itself of profit. So it doesn't matter. The court had laid that out, which actually complicates the position, doesn't it? So today when the Aam Aadmi Party says, well, they weren't actually getting a salary, does the Supreme Court order actually make things tougher?
Well, I don't know with reference to this specific case, but your reference to Jaya Bachchan case is absolutely correct. Supreme Court had said if it is receivable and on accrual basis, it will be presumed that it is an office of profit. The fact that you have not really collected it. And the logic is maybe today I say that I have not received it, but on that basis I am cleared of this case. Tomorrow I recover all my arrears. So that's why accruable is the principle which or receivability, that's the principle which Supreme Court established.
Do you believe?
Also, may I also mention, when this Parliament Act was amended, it was rejected by the President in the first place in 2010 or 11, whichever it was.
Right.
And then Parliament passed it again. And you will remember that the President sat over it for good 14 days, although he is supposed to clear it if the Parliament sends it a second time. And only when government agreed to set up a joint parliamentary committee to go into the case, he had cleared the case. Therefore, my feeling is that if already it was a complicated thing and disqualification had to be removed retrospectively and resort to all that, maybe it was an error of judgment. You can't take a President's response for granted. It should have better been done beforehand. That I think would have been wiser.
Well, Ashutosh, does that complicate your case then, what the Supreme Court has said in Jaya Bachchan's case? Because you pointed out that your parliamentary secretaries haven't received any salary, they get official transport and I think a room to work out of. But, as per what the Supreme Court said in Jaya Bachchan's case, that too then is an office of profit, isn't it?
Nidhi, I think you raised valid points, and I think you just have to give me some time. First, let me tell you one thing, that how the Narendra Modi government has behaved with Aam Aadmi Party government. Not one bill, but 23 bills have been passed by the Delhi Assembly. Out of 23, 4 bills are bills of appropriation, which are the money bill, so they couldn't have afford to reject that. 19 bills were lying with the Modi government for the last more than 1 year. They sat on this. They made Delhi Assembly null and void, a non-functional entity. That is their promise for democracy. Please understand that. The point number 2, which Qureshi has talked about, Dr. Qureshi has talked about the receivability principle in the Jaya Bachchan case. Let me just show you this. This is the notification which has been issued by the Delhi government. What it reads about these parliamentary secretaries? It reads very clearly, and please read. Let me read it out. These parliamentary secretaries will not be eligible any remuneration or any perks of any kind from the government, meaning no burden on exchequer. They may use government transport for official purposes, and office space in the minister's office would be provided to them to facilitate their work. So on the issue of receivability, there is no remuneration, there is no receivability on this issue. So Jaya Bachchan case doesn't apply over here. On the issue of the rooms allotted, the rooms were not allotted by the Delhi government. The rooms were allotted by the sovereign body Delhi Assembly under the power of Mr. Speaker, and these were not allotted only to the parliamentary secretaries but other MLAs also.
Okay, so
and about the issue of entitlement, let me also tell you that they were only entitled, let me tell you what Jaya Bachchan case says, they were only entitled to use government transport and office space only for official purposes, and office of profit can only be defined by the pecuniary gains. Here there is absolutely no pecuniary gains, and here is a certificate, which clearly shows that not no gains have been made. And let me read it out.
Although the Supreme Court says it actually doesn't matter whether there was any pecuniary gain.
No facility.
The Supreme Court said the opposite, Ashutosh, which means it is open to interpretation.
Let me complete.
You may say it's different from Jaya Bachchan, but as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, I just have 30 seconds. I just want to get Siddharth's response to that. Siddharth, if they're not getting money and they're not getting the perks that say Punjab parliamentary secretaries are, which is a clerk, a cook, official gadi, official accommodation to live in and so on. Gujarat also, Punjab also, other states also. Is it such a big deal, Siddharth?
Nidhi, they must get their facts right. There are all the places where it has been given. There is a law that has been passed where these benefits to be an appointment of parliament secretaries can be given. To nail them down, in 2002 in Punjab they came with an ordinance, and finally they came up with a bill. And and from 1st July 2015 it started, that came into force. So there is a way to go about it. If they don't understand the Constitution of India, we cannot help about it. And let me tell, the way they function, the Prime Minister or the Modi Sarkar doesn't need to make their functioning null and void. Their own acts are making null and void. And now coming on the Jaya Bachchan case, and which Mr. Ashutosh is defending, let me just allow me.
Yeah.
Office of profit need not necessarily confirm monetary benefit. It is sufficient if it confirms administrative and executive power. In this this case, they were confirming executive and administrative
Well,
powers, so
this
it comes
is
in the
ultimately going to be
So
decided
please
by
get
the Election
your
Commission,
acts right
which is
and
yes,
interpretation right, Mr.
We'll have to
Ashutosh.
wait and see what decision the EC takes on this and whether the AAP actually contemplates further legal action. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight on this important story. We'll see where it goes from here in the next few days and weeks. Good night.